sound good with the effects out here and how much volume they've got. To the broadcast world and to the DVD recording of the event, the most critical thing of all, and that is the last two buttons on this aux send section. These have got to be up, usually all the way to the top, in order for there to be sound going into the TriCaster, which is the sound that's going out into the internet, and also the sound that's going into the DVD recording. This has got to be turned up. And so many times, I mean, at the end of the service, it's customary for us to pull this down. That's because we're playing an intro or an outro, which is a little video file inside the TriCaster. And that has sound contained within itself. And we turn this down because we don't want the people in the broadcast world or the DVD recording to hear anything going on in the room anymore. So we turn that down so they can hear just the broadcast intro or the broadcast outro, even while the band is still playing. Which is fantastic the way that works, but it's critically full of potential for disaster, because so often we forget to turn it up when we're doing a recording or we're doing a live broadcast. So please make sure you turn that all the way up, okay? And make sure over here, and if you're the soundboard operator, you got to be the responsible one. March over here, look over the shoulder of the person running the TriCaster, and look at that right-hand screen and make sure there's volume jumping up and down. If you're the TriCaster operator, don't rely on the soundboard operator. You look at the TriCaster operator monitor and make sure there's sound. Please, this is our #1 hazard of operation back here. Okay, so this has got to be up. We've already talked about the effects being up, the effects here, and the individual effects. This is one of the things in this area, and we're almost done with all the operation of the soundboard. Isn't that good news? And that is this gray button is controlling the sound that's going up in the speakers in the balcony. So easy to overlook, and the people up there aren't close enough to complain that they can't hear what's going on. And I often have forgotten that. I'm just starting to get a hang of this. This gray button's got to be up. And that controls two different sounds, the sound in the fellowship hall and the sound in the balcony. Sometimes there's an event going on here and the people come running in. It's too loud in the fellowship hall. Or can you turn down the music in the fellowship? Can you turn it off? There's only one way to do that. It's this button right here. If there's a need to adjust individual settings with the sound going up in the fellowship hall or the upstairs speakers, once again over on the far left of all of these channels, on the far left of all of these individual buses, you'll see down here balcony and fellow. These are the white buttons going all the way across the board, and they control the individual settings of the sound that's going in the fellowship hall and also in the balcony speakers. Here's how you do it. If you look at this board right here and you see that there's no lights at all, then that means that somebody has turned power off on this switch. So you want to reach back there and just turn that power. Don't worry, you don't have to do what I did just now. You can just reach back there with your finger. You will not shock yourself. And just turn that little rocker. It's right, the far right in the back of this. Just turn that on so that you see some lights blinking. Next, on the far right bottom of this board is a blackout button. It's blinking right now. That means it's in pause mode. There's no light going up to the lights. Push that, and that turns the stage lights on, if some of these things are up. So you control the individual lights on the stage by, turning them up and down. And you could do that intuitively and just by observation. Just turn one up with all of them down and see what it does. Eventually you'll figure out what the codes mean. I still haven't, but I think I understand the cross, because I know what a cross looks like. That turns up and down the light going up on the cross. CHR's choir, and there's a few other ones. You just turn them up until they all look about right. That's how you control that. But if there's something going on that's not working right, you might want to just make sure that these are up. And interestingly enough, the way these two work is almost annoying. I don't know why it is, but it is this way. It works best, you get the most power and light if A is all the way up and B is all the way down. It also works pretty good if they're both up, but there's not quite as much light. Sometimes you don't want quite as much light. Not really sure how these work, but I do know that if they're not set right, you got problems. A up and B down is the way those need to be. When you're done with the lights, the best way to turn the lights off is just to hit the blackout button again. Listen, when you're done with your service, your concert, your wedding, whatever you were doing that you needed this training video for, thank you for turning everything off. Basically, I grab these two remotes, usually when I'm starting to turn the whole system on. Not this one. It's actually 3 remotes. Looks awfully geeky to walk around with 3 remotes, but you could do it this way. This one you're gonna turn the cameras off the same way. Push camera 1, camera 2, which are the ones in the back, and push power each time as you're pointing at them. Camera 3 for the camera 3 up there, and also camera 3 for camera 4. Once again, that's how you turn on the cameras 3 and 4 is with the same number 3. Push the designated and then that. Make sure they're off. There's going to be a little red light glowing to say they're off. If you still see a green light, then they're still on, so try again. And then with the TVs, you got the responsibility of the 2 front televisions with the Panasonic. Please walk all the way up to those front TVs, turn them off, and then look at the TV monitor way up in the sky and the ceiling. Point up to that thing and push the power button on that, which is the middle one on the top of the remote. So aim at that. And also those 2 LG monitors, which are for the people up in the balcony. Please turn those off. And if you're really, really good, you're not going to forget to turn off that camera. Only 1 out of 10 people ever remember to turn that camera off. So kudos to you if you remembered to turn that camera off. Next thing you want to do after you turn the cameras and the TVs off is to turn the amplifiers off. That's the next step. Why do we want to turn the amplifiers off before we turn everything else off? Well, it's not critical, but if you turn the amplifiers off after you turn the soundboard off, you're going to get kind of a loud pop. It's even more dramatic if you turn the amplifiers on first before you turn the soundboard on. Then you're going to get a really loud pop. People might jump out of their pews. So the amplifiers are the last thing that get turned on in the turn on process of everything. And they're the first thing, well, one of the first things that go off. They're at least you want to turn the amplifiers off before you turn the soundboard off. So you turn both amplifiers off. If you look up here at this monitor, this is how you turn off the TriCaster. There's only one way to do it, and that's with the mouse. Take the mouse all the way up to the right hand corner. You shouldn't be seeing these actually, because if I was doing what I was showing you to do, you would see no camera activity. This is one good way to make sure that there's no cameras left on. It's okay right now because I'll do that next, but I want to show you. See up there, there's a little X. Bring the mouse up to the X. Click the X. And there it is. You have to click on shut down. This is just like turning off a PC. It is a PC. It's just operating on top of that. So that turns off nice and quick. You want to shut these, close them all up. Kind of look down here and make sure none of the cables are in the way of closing the cabinet door. You've turned everything off there. The amps go off first. And you've turned the TriCaster off. It doesn't matter about the monitors, those 3 little monitors there. Those will turn off when you turn the power strip off. If you've done this more than once, you're not going to want to walk around on all those cords and look at anything. You're just going to want to reach your arm down just below shoulder level and look for that rocker switch. Squeeze it. You'll hear a click. Most everything goes off. There are a couple things that remain on. Don't worry about them. As long as you physically turned off the amplifiers and you click the rocker switch, oh, I see it. All the remotes really should be up there. There should be 5 remotes up there. Very nice if you put the Dynex on the left and this DVD one on the right. That's just wonderful stuff. If there's a remote control that doesn't belong there, one of the remotes for the PowerPoint, go ahead and put that over there. Look around, make sure you didn't leave your glasses, your wallet. Two buttons down at the same time, rock it down. Put this in there. If it turns, you did it right. If it doesn't, just pull it out and turn the key around. This is interesting how you put it back. You have to push the combination while it's in your hand. And take some coordination, pull both those down, keep holding them, put it in bottom first while you keep holding the bottom. Holding those two down. There we go. Release that. You've turned everything off in the TriCaster. You've turned your amplifiers off. You've turned the lights off with the blackout button. Now you need to turn the computer off. Best to do that the proper way, which is to exit your applications, start menu, turn computer off, and turn computer off again. Give it long enough to turn it off before you do the final move. What's the final step? Final step is to turn this power button off. I wait until the computer's turned off. I turn that off. I close these doors as I'm closing them, I lift up that latch. Great, the last thing you should probably need to know is to turn the Fellowship Hall TV on if there's going to be any need for people out here to see what's going on. There's a little row of buttons here, and the one on the far right is the one you push. That turns the TV on. It's getting no signal right now because everything is off. If for some reason it's not set right, then you got to go to the row of buttons again here on the far left and push the input button. With the input button pushed, the buttons to the far right, but not all the way right, will move around within the menu. And so you get to the right setting. When you get to the right setting, I think it is 81, and there's stuff going on in the sanctuary from the TriCaster, it's going to clearly show you that you're doing the right thing. That's it.